The Fantasy Lounge, live from 92nd in Nashville, formerly 33rd in Emerald, with the same old fantasy football talk. 12 degenerates from Oak Lawn compete to be the champion. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose?
Boo this man!
Find out this week on the Fantasy Lounge with your host, Randy Hansen.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
And Mike Trotta.
As a gym coach, he was a natural. Show me some hustle!
Here's this week's edition of the Fantasy Lounge.
And we are live in the Fantasy Lounge. As always, Mikey Mack on the mic. To the left, the commish, Randy Hansen. And Randy, we got a very special guest, a longtime contributor to the Lounge, the co-creator of the Sidelines All-American podcast, and the all-around fantasy guru, Dave Steuben. And boys, Season 3 of the Fantasy Lounge kicks off today. How's it feel?
Coming up big and bad. We got our own microphone now. We've upgraded. We're not just, some crappy podcast anymore.
We made strides in the last 3 years. We're each growing as commentators, you could say. A lot of things happened, though, in the past year.
Absolutely.
Since the last podcast, you'd say? I think we went black, you could say. We almost went, we had blackout mode for 6 months. No one's heard of anyone.
See how it is.
And the past 6 months, commish, a lot has happened. You want to maybe give us a little rundown on the league?
League news.
The league transactions.
A little league news. The quick 6 month recap, you could say. Wasim is a 2-time winner.
Absolutely.
Another winner. Another time I have to pay money. Let's hope that
3 out of 4?
Let's hope that doesn't happen again. Let's just leave it at that. Wasim won. We have a new Teats this year, which is big for the league and big for the podcast. We have a year of a Teats member. How does it feel to be you're the Teats? Literally to know that you are the worst fantasy player out of 12 people. You're the worst.
I just want to say before you answer that, we also thought that you might want to wear a male romper instead of getting everyone beers at the draft this year. How do you feel about that? Also,
can we do both? Lots of play.
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I would prefer to get people beers, but we'll see. I
don't think you have a preference.
Let's see what the league decides. How about?
Do you think about it at night?
I have not thought about it, and actually, this is the first time that I've really thought about it. So thank you for that.
Getting close.
Now, regardless of what's going on in the sold-out touchdown league, a lot's going on in the NFL free agency, and the Fantasy Lounge crew took it upon themselves to rank the 15 best free agent signings. And now these are people that have changed teams from 2016, and so we're coming at you with our top 15 list of individuals who changed teams,
free agent or trade,
that are going to impact your fantasy lineup. Now, we all came up with our own list, but we have broken it down into our top 15, and so we're gonna get started going.
All right, we're jumping right into it. Right, what? It's exactly the date is what. June 16th, and we're already giving you
July 16th.
July, whatever.
He's on a 16-day bender. So,
but
there we go.
The main thing is we're coming right to you, right off the cusp, coming to you early, extremely early this year, and giving you.
What are we about 47 days out, something like that?
Yeah, probably.
And get the viewers out there ready to start getting down some information and start putting in their head what to expect and who to expect to draft.
Drafts are right around the corner.
Absolutely. Now, we're gonna start with number 15. The 15th best free agent pickup, and that honor goes to Eric Decker.
I personally didn't have him on my list, but I'm a fan of him. I'll get to why I don't have him on my list after you tell me why he's on your list.
So, a little nug about Decker. 3 out of the past 5 seasons, over 10 touchdowns. Mariota last year, 61% completion percentage. You got to imagine that's going to stay right around the same. He's going to keep improving. And so, Mariota's going to be able to give people the ball.
On my list, I am actually at 13. But Eric Decker, this is the reason why, just like Mike said, another big weapon in the red zone for Mariota. Eric Decker was also number 1 in red zone touchdowns since 2014.
Now, not many people would have had that.
No.
Eric Decker red zone machine.
But he is going to be competing with Rashard Matthews, Delaney Walker, and it is a run-first team with DeMarco Murray. They have one of the best lines in the NFL. You also have the young running back in Derrick Henry. So how many touches are there going to be out there for Eric Decker?
Delaney and Rashard Matthews combined over 60% of touchdowns that Mariota threw were to them. So 40%. Does
they
Decker
still have
get
Tajay Sharp? They got Corey Davis, another rookie. So it's jam packed at the wide receiver position.
Okay. Now, again, that's Eric Decker moving to the Titans, right?
Titans.
Now, at number 14, you could argue that this guy 3 years ago was one of the best fantasy running backs, and how badly he has fallen. But a change of scenery. We're talking Eddie Lacy to the Seahawks.
Oh, skinny Eddie Lacy, huh?
Yes.
He did make my list. He did. He was a little bit lower, though, at 12 on my list.
A little bit higher, Dave.
I'm
It's
sorry,
math.
higher. Like me. So last year, he was injured, but he did average 5.1 yards per carry. No touchdowns, though, which was a big problem. He was about 280 pounds also. Reportedly, he's down to 255, and they would like to stay at 245, 255, so that should help in a run-first offense with the Seahawks. And he does have potential, star back power, I guess, because there's really not a lot of options there. And he's only 27 years old.
Now, I know you're high on Lacy. What do you see?
I'm real high on Lacy. I had Lacy at number 4, but it's all about what is Lacy? What is his mindset? That's for me, because the talent's there. Is he going to come in and he's going to work hard? He's going to stay skinny like he says. He's been doing P90X. He said this entire offseason, lost a ton of weight. Is he going to keep off the weight? Because the Seahawks have been looking for that running back since Marshawn Lynch. Get back to pound the ball, back to Seahawks, and trust their defense.
Eddie Lacy's going into the 26th ranked rushing offense. So, I mean, it wasn't like Seattle was running through teams last year. And, I mean, Eddie Lacy is not that type of elusive back that's going to be able to...
No, but if he's not 280, he might be elusive.
Okay. Now, at number 13, a Chicago fan favorite, the Black Unicorn, Martellus Bennett.
Fan favorite?
Not to Jay Cutler, probably.
Not to me either.
But going at number 13 on our master list is Martellus Bennett.
So what am I feeling, Martellus Bennett?
Yeah.
It's like when you ask him to leave the house and he stole your batteries. He's like kicking everyone out on his way out. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Be professional. Go somewhere else. Don't talk crap about the Bears.
It was a bad
But that's talk about Martellus Bennett. It's another weapon for Rodgers. But when's the last time Rodgers has had that tight end that goes for more than 8 touchdowns?
Jermichael Finley, R.I.P.
Okay,
to his
one.
neck.
In what, 2008?
Probably.
And my thing is, Martellus Bennett's highest individual career in a season total, I should say, is only 6. And
6
last
what?
year he had
Touchdowns.
2 touchdowns in a season,
He had 7 last year.
and 3 of them was in one game.
Now, again, you brought up Jermichael Finley. That was, what, 2011?
I mean, that's the last time Aaron Rodgers actually had a...
Jared Cook.
Nah.
I don't know about Martellus. I had him like 14, so...
I just feel that his touchdown numbers are actually going to be higher than the 7 that he had last year because there's not really a red zone factor in Green Bay, other than maybe Devontae Adams, but he's not 6'5" or 6'6", whatever Martellus is.
Fair enough. Now, coming in at number 12, an individual who had back-to-back pretty solid seasons going to San Francisco 49ers. We're talking Pierre Garçon at number 12.
I had him a little lower at 15, but he is coming off one of his best seasons. 79 catches, 1,041 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's 201 fantasy points from last year. So that's one of those best seasons that he's ever had, and he's still relatively young at 30 years old. And he doesn't have much competition there. All they have is Bruce Ellington and Marquise Goodwin.
Do you see Hoyer or Matt Barkley making a difference in terms of hurting his value or helping his value?
My main thing is Pierre Garçon. He's going to get in a PPR league, especially for us as a PPR league. He's going to get his receptions, and he's just going to be that stout guy. Gives you maybe 10 to 12 points a week. You're not going to really get him in the end zone. The main thing is the volume's going to be there as the number 1 wide receiver for the 49ers.
How bad is that he's the number 1 wide receiver, though?
At the age of what? He's 31?
30. No, 30. Well, I don't know when he's turning 31, but he's 30 right now.
Okay. Now, at number 11, rounding out our first 5, is Jeremy Maclin, going to Baltimore with, smoking Joe Flacco.
Can we first off talk how dirty the Chiefs did Jeremy Maclin? Yeah. Like Andy Reid goes to the guy's wedding the next day. Didn't the next day after his wedding?
Yeah, but it's not Andy Reid's fault. It's management.
He's not. Andy Reid's not in charge of management?
I don't know. He looks like your dad. Shut up.
I know. He is my dad. Doppelganger. But the main thing is Jeremy Maclin, he's going to be battling for the number 1 spot with Mike Wallace. But is Joe Flacco be able to get enough? Is that enough balls for everyone to eat?
Where's all the balls at?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if Flacco, initially doesn't strike you as a guy that spreads around the wealth a little bit, And also in terms of passing yards, never like top 10 in passing yards. He did have a 4,000 yard season last year, but is he that good enough to where he's going to be making everybody relevant on that team?
I mean, Macklin and Rasheed Perryman and Mike Wallace are almost the same player. All they can do is run go routes for the most part. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they can do with all three of those guys.
Okay.
Is the Ravens offense? I just cut this down for a little bit. Is the Ravens offense? Are you seeing a shift from that power run of the AFC North?
I think so. I mean,
with the pickup of Danny Woodhead as well, so that maybe they're actually going
we'll
to free the reins on Joe Flacco a little bit and start airing it out.
Speaking of Danny Woodhead, back-to-back Ravens making our master list. Danny Woodhead coming in at number 10. I know, Dave,
I had him much higher.
Dave has him at number 3 as the best free agent pickups.
I love his game, especially in that system, because he's taking over the role that Justin Forsett couldn't achieve there. So he's a little bit younger. He's a better athlete. He is 32 years old. I mean, but he's never been a feature back. And before getting injured last year, he had 80 receptions. So if he can come in and get 50 to 60 receptions for the Ravens, that will be a hell of a fantasy PPR player.
I have an interesting board bet on Danny Woodhead. Do we know the significance of his injury coming into the season? I haven't really read anything yet. It's still early. They haven't really reported a training camp. No training camp news. Was he in OTAs at least? Or
I think he's on the field.
I don't know. I seen him in a Barstool video, and he seemed all right.
All right, seems looking good. Good nug by Dave in the Barstool video. My board bet on Danny Woodhead is this. And I'm just going to place it. It's early. It's early in the season to put a board bet. But Danny Woodhead leads the Ravens of receptions next year.
He really could. I agree with you on that one.
I still like Wallace a lot. Now, again, talking about Joe Flacco, I hate to talk about Joe Flacco, but man, I do love me some Joe Flacco.
You do.
Now, he doesn't strike you as a guy that's going to pass the ball to running backs, but I did some research. I found that when Ray Rice in his heyday, from 2009 to 2013, every year Ray Rice had at least 55 receptions or more. And so Flacco
loves to dump off.
Has shown in the past that he's able to dump off and check down and could make Danny Woodhead a relevant player in that offense.
Definitely.
Now, coming in at number 9, action, Deshaun Jackson going to famous Jameis down in Tampa.
I had him at number 10 on my list.
So number 9 in the master.
Number 9 on the master, so a little bit lower, not much. Deshaun Jackson, though, he's going into an offense with Mike Evans, Adam Humphries, and rookie O.J. Howard, and Cam Brate. Is that his name, Cam?
Cam Brate.
Cam Brate.
Yeah.
Him. So, once again, how many times is he going to get the ball? He's not really a possession receiver. He's another guy that he averaged 17.9 yards last season in Washington. So, how many receptions is he going to get? He's probably going to be more of a downfield threat than anything.
Commish, I know you like him, especially for big game potential.
Oh, absolutely. I said over under 1.5. I'd put that at the 1.5. He has a multiple touchdown game. So I'm saying I think he's going to have 2 games where he has over 2 touchdowns. My main thing is this is year 3, correct, of Jameis Winston?
Yes.
Jameis Winston's coming to his own. I think he is possibly the future face of the NFL for years to come.
Interesting.
He's a winner, and they're going to start airing out. He's starting to understand the offense, and guess what? He's also a leader. So as long as they keep spreading out with that deep threat potential with Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson top off the defense, Jameis is going to be killing. But Deshaun Jackson's going to get his.
Sounds like someone loves them some Jameis Winston.
Love famous
Now,
Jameis.
coming in at number 8, a running back that has changed places. Kind of underachieved in some areas, if you will. Definitely a very athletic player. We're talking Latavius Murray going to Minnesota. Now, Randy, what do you think about Latavius in that Viking purple?
I think Latavius, going into the league, when we start breaking down drafts and stuff like that, he could be a potential number 1. RB1.
Absolutely.
And the reason is just based on pure volume. Vikings love to run the ball.
They do.
And they're going to get the ball. My only problem with Latavius is he was ranked the worst running back in football last year by Pro Football Focus.
Yeah,
But he also got in the end zone 12 times. The main thing, but yards per carry was the worst at football, and his ability to make that extra move and break tackles. So does he have that bounce back? Can he take that AP role? We'll wait and see. But it's a good move for them.
I agree.
Sometimes you need a new scenery.
I agree. I think what hurts them is Sam Bradford not being able to take the top off the defense.
Yes.
And so potentially that could hurt Latavius if they're stacking the box because you really don't have to fear like him throwing deep. Where do you stand on Latavius?
like he said, he had 12 touchdowns last year. The year before that, he had over 1,000 yards, 266 carries. So the guy can handle the full load of a number one back. He's only gonna have to outplay Jarrah McKinnon, and then there's a rookie, Dalvin Cook, who probably will cut in on the third down and PPR a little bit for him, but he should take over that famous role that you love of Matt Asiata, who can't get in the end zone. So his touchdown number should be anywhere from 8 to 12. I would think on that offense.
Yeah, I mean, I love Latavius a lot. He's never been a PPR guy in terms. So you're not drafting Latavius thinking he's going to get you 60 balls anyway. I think you hopefully he's going to impact the red zone offense and get in the end zone for him. All right, now coming in at number 7 is another great running back that, again, injuries have slowed him down. We're talking Jamar Charles going to the in-division rival in the Denver Broncos.
I'm break down Jamal Charles. It's all based on health. He's the most dynamic player, I think, free agent. That was, besides Brandon Cooks, and we'll get into later, but the big play potential, the most dynamic. So it really depends. It's after 2 major knee injuries, if he's going to come up and he's going to be able to give you some. Can he give you one last blowout year, like years past Jamal Charles, which is at the top of your rankings in fantasy football? Or is he just going to fall into the weeds as you get older, when you're over the age of 30 as running backs?
Now, for his career, he has averaged 5.5 yards a carry, but I don't see him in that role with the Broncos. Like you said, I see him more of as a third down PPR back. In the last 2 seasons, he hasn't even combined for 100 carries because of injury. So if you can get him off the field more on first and second down and get him on the field on third down, he'll be more of a factor, I believe.
Okay.
I also see Jamal Charles saying based on health, and I see him coming on late in the season. I see him. They're getting him into the offense earlier in the year. He's just getting touches to get accumulated, and maybe he gets a bigger role as the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean, as a person that has never had Jamal Charles on a fantasy team, I always like to watch him play. So hopefully he has a bounce back year, and hopefully he can get healthy. Now, coming in at number 6, again, another former Bear. We're talking Brandon Marshall going to the New York Giants.
All right. I had Brandon Marshall at 5, so pretty close. Goes into an offense again, though, with a lot of weapons. You have Sterling Shepard, OBJ, rookie tight end, and Evan Ingram. So that, once again, there's Vereen coming out of the backfield. So there's a lot of balls being divided between a lot of guys.
My main thing about
Okay.
a lot of balls. All right. My main thing about Brandon Marshall, every time his first year he goes somewhere, he kills. He's always flirting with almost 100 catches from 90 to 100.
2015 at 109, 1,500 yards, and 14 touchdowns.
Yeah. But he's going to go over 1,000 yards.
I'm glad you brought that up, Randy. Brandon Marshall's averages for his first year playing with a new team, are you ready for this? 104 receptions on average, over 1,300 yards on average, and 9.5 touchdowns. So that's with Miami, that's with Chicago, and that's with the Jets. So the dude, his first year on average, is putting up those numbers.
But he is 33 years old, but the guy does keep himself in great shape.
Peak shape.
Yeah.
There's 2 things about Brandon Marshall that don't have to do with anything about his athletics, and it's the fact that he's never played in a playoff game, and 2 is every time he leaves somewhere, he wore out his welcome.
Well,
he's
that's
got
the
a
thing.
small shelf life of 1 to 2 years where he can be tolerated by his team.
And now you have him paired up with one of the biggest divas in the NFL in OBJ. So with those 2, it's going to be kind of, I don't know, I guess a lot of fireworks.
A lot of Eli puzzle face.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's going to get a lot of bad looks on the sideline after throwing interceptions.
Okay. Now, that was the first 10. We knocked down 15 through 6, and we're going pretty smooth, giving the viewers some great nugs of information, by the way. Now, these top 5, these are potential first 4-round picks in your fantasy draft, especially PPR. And so we're going to kick it off with a running back that actually didn't play last year, which is kind of shocking. At number 5,
Shout out to Simo.
we're talking Marshawn Lynch going back home to Oakland. Now, how do you see Marshawn playing after a year off?
Do you want to take it, Dave? You could take it.
I think he's going to help. He won't be the same player as he was because nobody's going to be the same after taking a year off of football. And there are some young weapons there in Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington who have shown to be pretty reliable when Latavius got injured last year. So I think he'll complement them very well. He'll be a very good goal line back. He is 31 years old, but he's about that action, boss. So we'll have to see.
My thing with Marshawn Lynch is two things. Did he come out of retirement for the right reasons? Is one.
I think he did.
I don't know if it was so much to play. It was more of a going home and going to represent the Oakland area and stuff like that. Maybe he wants a little Vegas play. Maybe stick around for 2 years. Where are they going? 2 or 3 they move out there? 2?
2 seasons.
2 seasons. But if you break down Marshawn Lynch's numbers, the last season he played for the Seahawks, his average yards per carry drastically went down, like all running backs. He was banged up a lot. So the main thing is, like I said, if they work him, especially since a year off to get his legs under in the beginning of the season, potentially, since this is a playoff team, I think it's a good move for the playoffs when it starts getting cold and they have to play on the road maybe for Oakland.
Much better line, though, in Oakland than they had in Seattle.
Yeah, it's second best offensive line in football. But the main thing is, I think it's more of this is a premier playoff team, and it's a move for the playoffs, in my eyes, more than fantasy.
And we already touched on Latavius last year, had 12 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, you could see Marshawn doing the
Falling
same
in the end
thing.
zone at least 6 to 8.
They should have similar numbers. I mean, he only rushed for 788 yards, but he had 12 touchdowns. So I could see that definitely from Marshawn Lynch.
Okay. Now, back-to-back running backs coming into play here. At number 4, again, a person with a troubled past, if you will. Someone that injuries and domestic issues have kind of hurt his career the past couple years. But we're talking about Adrian Peterson in New Orleans at number 4 for the Fantasy Lounge master list.
Was it domestic issues?
I
Or
had
was it
him
child
much
abuse?
much
domestic
lower.
in the house.
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
a-
Much lower at 13 on my list.
Dave is not too high on AP. Tell us why.
All right. So last year we all seen he got injured, had no touchdowns, was averaging 1.9 yards per carry, the lowest in his career.
In 2 games.
That's okay though, but I mean he wasn't doing anything. Last 2 out of 3 seasons he hasn't made it to 100 carries. The one season he was healthy though, he did have 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 fumbles. He does average almost 4 fumbles a season though. That's another reason why I don't like him. And he's stuck behind Mark Ingram and a rookie in Alvin Kamara, who's going to take him off the field on 3rd down and probably split carries on the goal line with Mark Ingram. So I'm just not a fan of him this year.
Yeah, the main thing is who's going to get those goal line carries. As we've seen from the Saints, Mark Ingram's carries have went down drastically year after year after year. It's like they're almost working him on the offense. But he keeps getting more productive, which is the crazy thing. So I say for AP, he's got 1 year left. He's going out with a bang. I had him very high. I had him at 3 on my list because I think AP's got 1 year left, especially with Breeze, a veteran, a new playing indoors.
Yeah.
Same plays like he was playing with the Vikings. I think he's got a little pop left in the tank. 1 year left to pop. You never count on AP. That's my thing.
Yeah. What concerns me is his lack of production in the passing game. And then it's just with the Saints running backs. It's kind of like the Carolina Panthers running backs. It's like one day Tolbert's going to score 3 touchdowns, and the next day, Fozzie Whitaker's going nuts, and the next day Jonathan Stewart's back. It's like you can't ever trust, fully commit. You can't go full Saints running back. And so we'll see. At the same time, this is probably going to be the best offense he's ever played in, besides maybe when Favre was in Minnesota. But,
Yeah, he might. No, it's probably even better than that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, first time since he had a quarterback, really, honestly, since the Favre days.
Since the Favre day. Well, that was in 09. So.
Yeah.
Now, coming in at number 3, another former Bear. Again, this list is just wrinkled with former Bears. We're talking Alshon Jeffrey
And his hamstrings.
and his hamstrings in Philly. Pretty much unanimous 1, 2, or 3 on all 3 of our lists.
Yeah.
He comes in at number 3, though.
So last season he had 52 receptions, 821 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. In the last 2 seasons, he's had less than 1,000 yards and less than 5 touchdowns due to his hamstring injuries. He can't stay on the field. He's got guys like Jordan Matthews and Torrey Smith there, and he's only on a 1-year contract. So he's really got to show the Eagles and everybody else in fantasy, really, because that's all I care about, is that he can stay healthy. Because if he can, his touchdown numbers should go up into maybe the low teens, at least 10, I would say, with that Eagles offense.
My thing about Alshon is I like this 1 year deal in the Eagles because he's betting on himself. He's never got a max deal. He's still looking for that big contract that he's never had, and that's what you want perfectly for a huge fantasy breakout year. Is a guy striving for that money. He's got something to prove. Got popped for steroids last year, so the guy likes the juice.
Which I'm a fan of.
Yeah,
Especially
I like the guys getting a little edge, and I'm expecting big things with Carson Wentz. with Alshon Jeffrey out there.
Okay. All right. Now, coming in at number 2, someone that not necessarily signed with another team, but traded to arguably the best offense in the league. And we're talking Brandon Cooks to New England at the number 2 spot.
Last year, 78 receptions, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's 243 fantasy points in an offense that's similar to the Patriots with a lot of weapons. He's a much better athlete than Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola and Chris Hogan. Every white short guy in the NFL, he's better than him. And he's only 23 years old. So I think he's going to have a huge season. I know Gronk's there, but coming off a back injury, that usually never goes well. So he should be the number 1 target there, and they should get a lot of screen passes, short passes, let him just use his athleticism and get a ton of points.
For me, it's like the Patriots are out here playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. Belichick, you want a first-round draft pick that you don't even know it's going to be proven? Go waste it on someone. I know I'm getting Brandon Cooks, and guess what? They're going to get this guy the ball. That is a future move. With the age only 23, you do not think they're not going to get him the ball? They're going to find a way. They haven't had this big play potential since Randy Moss was back there. Yeah. This guy's going to be in the end zone. They're going to find a way to get this guy touches. That's the main thing. And if this guy touches the ball, watch out because it's dynamic.
Yeah. The only thing that slightly concerns me, I know he's going to have a big year, is him and Edelman occupy similar space in terms of where they maneuver. I know obviously Cooks with the bigger play potential in terms of being someone deep. And so just that slightly concerning in terms of maybe even hurting Edelman a little bit this year.
I believe he's going to hurt Edelman definitely because he's going to move down 1 slot in the depth chart, and it really depends on me with Gronk, how much Gronk's going to play, if he's going to be there early in the season because of the back injury. So if he can get something going early with Tom Brady while Gronk's still kind of getting it back, it could be a big season.
And also with Cooks, I'm not going to be surprised. You see him returning some punts back there, returning some kicks, maybe run a couple back, add more fantasy points, more fantasy value. They need to find a way to get this guy the ball. And Belichick's the best way of doing it.
All right, so we're all in on Brandon Cooks.
All in.
All right. Now the consensus number 1 free agent pickup, number 1 on all 3 of our lists. Which is surprising because this man was not even a wide receiver about 3 or 4 years ago. We are talking about Terrell Pryor. And what do you think about Terrell Pryor over here, Stoops?
I got Terrell Pryor real high. I actually think him and Jamison Crowder is going to be one of my sleepers this year. They could be one of the top 5 duos in the league. I really feel like he has the potential to be that good of a player. He had 77 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year with the Browns, and I could have probably played quarterback for the Browns last year. So those are some good numbers. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. This is his 3rd season as a full-time wide receiver, so he should really start getting into the wide receiver mode. He looked great last year. I've been following him on Instagram. The guy's going crazy training with AB. In Pittsburgh.
You like to see that. To see that.
So, I mean, he's been working his butt off. He's got a quarterback in Kirk Cousins, so I'm real high on the guy this year.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, 4,900 passing yards last year, so no slouch.
No.
Absolutely. On the Redskins, with the Pierre Garçon's gone, Deshaun Jackson's gone, you know he's just going right into that number 1 role. The targets are going to be there. He's big, athletic, dynamic. Kirk Cousins, that's the best quarterback you've ever played with. The guy's he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially in the NFC.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, again, a consensus.
Wait, what are your thoughts, host? We haven't got anything.
I ranked him number 1, so that tells you where I stand on Terrell Pryor. I had him last year, and before he even popped off.
You had everyone last year.
I had everybody last year, and that's because I'm ahead of the game. That's why.
Yeah,
all right.
Too.
Now, of course, there's always that rounds out our top 15.
That was good.
It was. I think it's a pretty thorough list.
Efficient.
Now, there were a couple people that we had on individual lists that did not make it onto the final cut. We're talking like Kenny Britt
I had on my list.
LeGarrette Blount, Robert Woods as well. And I know Stubbs got rocking the Bills jersey. I know Robert Woods doesn't play for them anymore. But
and neither does EJ Manuel. But me and Randy were in there in Buffalo last week, rocking it out. So I had to, show some respect for them because they know how to party. Those people they're sad but loyal fans, and I like it. But anyways. Robert Woods moving to LA. They have no wide receiver except for Tavon Austin. He's really not a full-time wide receiver.
Sucks.
He had 51 receptions, 613 yards and a touchdown last year. That was decent on a Bills team that wasn't very good. So he's only 25 years old. He should go right into the PPR role. and possession receiver role with that offense. So he should be a viable bench to third wide receiver, I think, this year.
One of my main guys that didn't make the top 15 that I say has that big play potential where you're going to have about 2 or 3 of those games where he could win you your game that week for your league is Ted Ginn going to the Saints.
Ted Ginn, huh?
And this is the reason why. It's Ted Ginn. This guy what did he lead the league in drops last year or something crazy?
He
like that?
had about, I think, 9 or
a
10.
couple were for like touchdowns
Yeah,
too,
a
like
lot of
wide
them.
open. But Drew Brees indoor with Ted Saint with
Ted Saint?
with Ted Ginn, he's gonna take the top off the defense and might score at least 2 games where he's got multiple touchdowns.
No, I agree. They just have a lot of weapons, like we talked, though.
I do also like Kamar Aiken to the Colts,
I didn't even know about that move.
and the Colts are still hurting for a good wide receiver. Kamar Aiken, every time he comes to the camp for the Ravens in the past, they're always pumping him up. He's always been a sleeper on fantasy, and he kind of fizzled out because, as we went over before, Joe Flacco wasn't getting guys the ball. Kamar Aiken with the Colts now, when you have Andrew Luck indoors, I could see him potentially having a big year. He's definitely on my to watch list coming into the draft.
That's Mikey Mack's big sleepers, Kamar Aiken. And another thing, Philip Dorsett already with a hamstring issue. He missed minicamp. And so, I mean, you got Moncrief.
T.Y. Hill never can stay healthy. Moncrief.
You got T.Y. Moncrief. And so, theoretically, if Philip Dorsett is not there, Kamar Aiken's penciled into the 3. And if Andrew Luck's healthy, we all know what he could do. Right? Now, so those are some people that, might not have got onto everybody's list, but definitely people not to sleep on, if you will. Now, we have a couple more, just touching on the free agents. We're going to do a little over-under because both of these guys are gambling men. I'm not so much. So the first one on a little over-under, we're going to talk AP over-under 1,000 yards rushing this year.
Way under. Way under.
If you put that number at 800,
I would say
then
under.
we'd have a conversation. I'm flowing with 800 to 850 mark.
But we're talking about arguably one of the best running backs in the past 20 years.
33 years old, coming off his third knee injury of his career.
Yeah.
In an offense with other running backs, I just don't see it happening.
Okay.
I don't.
His last 1,000-yard rusher was 2014. But again, he missed 2015 with a domestic issue. I mean, and then obviously he got hurt last year. But I mean, theoretically, he should have some fresh legs.
He should.
So I don't think he's like a true 33-year-old.
No, he's also an athletic freak. So.
Yeah. Now, we're gonna go 2 more. Terrell Pryor, a top 12 fantasy wide receiver this year.
Like I said earlier, I believe him and Jameson Crowder are going to be a top 5 duo in the NFL. Shut up, Kane. Quote me on that. We'll see at the end of the season, but I really feel like they're going to explode without Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon there.
I think Terrell Pryor, I see it's going to be number 9 best wide receiver in NFL fantasy-wise for PPR this year.
Okay. All right. The last one we're going to do, we're talking a little Brandon Cooks. Last year, he went for 1,100 yards receiving, over-under 1,100 yards receiving for Brandon Cooks this year.
I say under, but I'm going to go with more receptions for him.
Okay.
How many receptions did he have last year?
He had 78.
Ooh. So 1,100's the bet? 1,100.
I'm gonna go real close though.
It's gonna be close. I'm gonna say over.
I mean, he definitely could do it. I don't doubt the guy.
My main thing is Julian Edelman. He always has some nagging injuries once in a while, especially later in the season. And then you also have Gronk's availability. You got Amendola that's
never on the
that
field.
I've never seen someone fair catch a ball and then reach for his hamstring. That was Daniel Amendola. And there was one time he ran out of bounds and pulled his groin. So this guy's just an injury waiting to happen, just walking from the locker room to the field. But Brandon Cooks is your future, like we went over before. They're going to get him the ball.
All right. Now, I know everybody's been asking about a little pop-off, drop-off. I'm not ready yet to give a pop. We're not there yet. When we get into the fantasy season, you're going to see a lot of pop-off, drop-off coming your way. Also, no commish corner.
I got something. I got something in the works. We can go over something.
Surprise! A surprise commish corner in the fantasy lounge. Now, everybody always talks about the commish corner, arguably one of the most controversial segments of the show.
It is, but everybody loves it.
And so, Randy, why don't you take us away? And
Commission Corner is going to be pretty basic. It's just going to be information right now. We're just giving some people information. We're not coming for anyone's dome right off the bat.
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of people in this league that deserve it already. But we're just going to give some information. We've already determined the draft date and location. The date is going to be September 2nd. Time is to be announced. Probably a late afternoon.
Depends on when Simo gets there.
Yeah, late afternoon. But it's going to be at the Hanson Residence, 92nd and Ashland. 92nd and Nashville. Yeah, Trotta's moved in.
Yep.
A lot of things have come to occur the last since the finale of fantasy football. Lewis is having a kid and he's married.
Hey,
Shout out to Lewis.
Channel.
Ryan.
Channel's got engaged.
Having a
and he's
baby.
having a baby. Oh, look at that. Ryan got married. Great wedding, by the way.
It was.
And can I just say,
Gallagher's going to New Orleans.
Gallagher's going to New Orleans. Boys trip for the league coming in February.
Yep.
Can I just say though that this is a story that just pretty much sums up what this league is. Matt Gallagher asks, "I can only get off for one time. I can make a trip back."
What does he do?
It's either does he stand up at Ryan's wedding, beautiful wedding,
Great wedding.
or do I come in for the draft? He contacts the commish, and with cahoots with Ryan in a conference call, we deliberate. And you know what the thing? It wasn't even a deliberation because we all knew what it was going to be. And you know what? Gallagher's going to be at the draft.
That's right.
And that's just what this league is. 12 idiots, 12 degenerates. Popping out kids. Some of us are collecting dogs. And we're just here, making memories. Making memories, trying to win the league. Trying not to be
Memories
last.
making babies.
You can never question the commitment of the members of the Sold Out Touchdown League. That's for sure.
Year 11. Is it not?
Year 11.
You're 11.
Year 11.
Now, remember, to check us out on Twitter, on Instagram. There's always
Facebook.
Follow us at Sold Out Touchdown League. Always some great memes, some great tweets, some great information coming your way. And again, if you have any questions, any concerns, any things you'd like for us to talk about in the next lounge, please let us know.
Leave in the comments below.
Oh, yeah. You got to leave
Somewhere
in the comments.
down here. I don't know.
We got some Q&As maybe coming. We get the fans involved in the future.
Send us your questions. We're always willing to listen, right? And so with all of us here in the Fantasy Lounge, take care. Remember, it's never too late to come relax at the lounge. Take care.
My money's in the mail.